You know what's more shocking than watching a franchise quarterback publicly questioning his future? Watching Joe Burrow, the ice-cold assassin who never lets emotions crack through that stoic demeanor, looking completely broken and defeated for the first time in his professional career. We're talking about a guy who played through a ruptured appendix, who came back from a torn ACL like it was nothing, who stared down the Chiefs in the AFC Championship with zero fear in his eyes. But now he's dropping cryptic messages to reporters that have the entire league on high alert. When asked directly if he'd consider playing football elsewhere, Burrow didn't laugh it off. He didn't shut it down. Instead, he said something that sent shockwaves through every front office in the NFL. A lot of crazy things happen every year. That's not the response of a quarterback committed to his team. That's the response of someone who's had enough. The Cincinnati Bengals are staring down the barrel of a nightmare scenario that seemed impossible just 2 years ago when they were in the Super Bowl. They're facing a fork in the road with only two options, and both of them are terrifying for Bengals fans. Option A, clean up this absolute disaster of a roster construction and finally build a legitimate winner around one of the three best quarterbacks in football. Option B, do the unthinkable and trade Joe Burrow in the offseason before this relationship deteriorates any further. And here's the kicker, folks. With the way Burrow's been talking lately, with the frustration seeping through every carefully chosen word in his press conferences, option B is looking more realistic by the day. So let's dive into the chaos. Let's explore the 10 NFL teams that should be preparing their best offer packages right now. Because if Joe Burrow hits the trade market, it's going to trigger the biggest bidding war we've seen since the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, except this time without all the baggage and with an actual proven Super Bowl caliber quarterback. First up, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings because honestly, this one feels almost too perfect. The Vikings just came off a 14-win season behind a career year from Sam Darnold. And what did they do? They let him walk, convinced that their quarterback-friendly system under Kevin O'Connell could turn anyone into a star. They handed the keys to J.J. McCarthy, their unproven 2024 first-round pick, betting the entire franchise on his potential. How's that working out? It's been an absolute disaster. McCarthy missed time due to injury, sure, but when he's actually been on the field, the offense has looked completely dysfunctional. Justin Jefferson, one of the most electric receivers in the entire league, just had the worst season of his career, and that falls squarely on the quarterback position. This is a team that was one piece away from being a juggernaut, and they fumbled it spectacularly. Now imagine Joe Burrow in that offense. Picture him throwing to Justin Jefferson, his old LSU teammate Jordan Addison, and tight end TJ Hawkinson. That's a receiving core that would rival anything in the NFL. But here's what makes this situation even more enticing for Burrow: that offensive line. We're talking about a unit led by veteran stalwarts Brian O'Neill, Ryan Kelly, and Christian Darrisaw. Compared to the Bengals' atrocious offensive line that's gotten Burrow destroyed for years, this would be like upgrading from a Honda Civic to a Rolls-Royce. Add in a borderline top 10 defense, and suddenly Burrow would be walking into the most complete team of his entire NFL career. He'd immediately become the NFC's top quarterback, a luxury that the Vikings franchise has never enjoyed in their entire history. If you're Minnesota's general manager, you pick up the phone right now and offer 4 first-round picks. Throw in J.J. McCarthy. Throw in whatever else Cincinnati wants, because landing Joe Burrow would guarantee multiple Super Bowl runs, and that's not hyperbole. Now let's head west to Las Vegas, where the Raiders are imploding in spectacular fashion. We can't say for certain how Tom Brady operates behind the scenes in his new role, but what we do know is that his decisions to bring in Geno Smith and Pete Carroll have completely backfired. The GOAT himself has to be sitting in that front office watching this disaster unfold and preparing for sweeping changes this offseason. And if Joe Burrow becomes available, you better believe that Brady will pull out every trick in his legendary playbook to recruit the guy who almost beat him in Super Bowl 56. Burrow should absolutely love the idea of playing with Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty, two players who have the skill sets to go down as all-time greats at their respective positions. Yeah, the offensive line needs work. Yeah, the defense requires serious reinforcements. But you can bet everything you own that Vegas would spend lavishly to give Burrow a win-now roster, something that the Bengals have clearly proven they're not committed to building. But wait, because the New York Jets might just blow everyone out of the water with their offer. No team in the entire league would be in a better position to top any trade package for Joe Burrow. After trading away Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner at the trade deadline, the Jets set themselves up with an embarrassment of riches in draft capital. We're talking 2 2026 first-round picks, a pair of second-round selections, and 3 2027 first-rounders. The Jets could walk into negotiations and just bury every other team with sheer volume of premium picks. They'll be in a very good position to take one of the top quarterback prospects in the 2026 draft, so why not offer a bundle of those picks to Cincinnati? Giving up their own 2026 first-rounder would give the Bengals the chance to take a top prospect like Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, or Dante Moore. How could anyone else realistically top that kind of offer? Burrow would lead an offense featuring Garrett Wilson and hopefully Breece Hall if he gets extended. He would single-handedly elevate the Jets into legitimate Super Bowl contenders overnight. The alternative for New York is to draft and probably ruin another young quarterback, which honestly none of us want to see happen again. Down in New Orleans, the Saints have completely sunk into irrelevance in the post-Drew Brees era. 5 straight non-playoff seasons will do that to a franchise. The Saints haven't indicated at all that they'd consider a complete tear-it-down rebuild, but here's the thing. With a young foundation already in place, why not swing for the fences and see if bringing Burrow back to the Bayou State can galvanize this team? Rookie head coach Kellen Moore has a rich quarterback resume, and just look at how much the Philadelphia Eagles missed him after they won the Super Bowl last year. Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson form a nice pass-catching tandem. Workhorse running back Alvin Kamara isn't going anywhere. The offensive line is set up nicely with Cesar Ruiz, young Taysom Faaga, and Kelvin Banks Jr. There's work to do on defense, absolutely, but that can be addressed through trades, the draft, and free agency. The primary goal here would be providing Burrow with the necessary tools to succeed, and playing in the NFC South would give him a much easier path to the Super Bowl compared to the bloodbath that is the AFC. Out in Arizona, all indicators point to the Cardinals finally moving on from Kyler Murray after this season. It's kind of a terrible look that the offense has actually fared better under career backup Jacoby Brissett than it has with Murray. If Arizona has the guts to cut ties with their former first overall pick, then Joe Burrow should be option A, no questions asked. Just imagine Burrow leading an offense headlined by Marvin Harrison Jr., rising superstar tight end Trey McBride, and star running back James Conner. A quarterback as outstanding as Burrow would finally help Harrison Jr. reach his astronomical potential. The Cardinals aren't competing anytime soon without a bona fide star behind center, not with Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, and Brock Purdy all in that division. Arizona will have a top 10 pick in 2026, which could be a nice starting point in any trade negotiations. They could throw in a valuable roster player like Paris Johnson Jr., Walter Nolan, or Will Johnson as part of the package. Very few teams need a quarterback of Joe Burrow's caliber as desperately as Arizona does. Now here's where things get absolutely wild. The Cleveland Browns. Yes, we know this is borderline insane, but hear us out. If the Browns presented the best offer, would the Bengals want to play petty and keep him out of the division, or would they do what's simply best for their franchise? The Browns haven't had a true franchise-changing quarterback since Bernie Kosar nearly 40 years ago. They struck out on Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, and Johnny Manziel. They failed Baker Mayfield and embarrassed themselves with the Deshaun Watson trade. Instead of trusting their flawed organization to draft and develop yet another young quarterback, why not just acquire an established quarterback to lead the way? And unlike Watson, Burrow wouldn't come with an entire airport's worth of baggage. Cleveland has an extra first-round pick via Jacksonville from the Travis Hunter trade. Pro Bowl corner Denzel Ward or rookie standout linebacker Carson Swendinger could be included in the package. Cincinnati would be locked and loaded with draft capital and could target a top quarterback prospect to build around on a cheap rookie deal. Facing Burrow twice a year wouldn't be fun for Bengals fans, but sentiments have to be put aside if the Browns theoretically propose the best offer. The Miami Dolphins story gets even more interesting when you realize ESPN's Adam Schefter dropped two massive bombshells recently. First, the Dolphins offered the Bengals 4 first-round picks at the 2020 draft, trying to move up for Burrow. Second, they're planning to move on from Tua Tagovailoa this offseason. Massive dead money charges be damned, even though he just began his 4-year, $212 million extension. Miami could offer valuable draft picks and see if Cincinnati would take a flyer on Tyreek Hill, giving them a 3-headed monster at receiver. Since the Bengals need so much help on defense, what if the Dolphins threw in big names like Minkah Fitzpatrick and Bradley Chubb? Burrow can turn even the most mediocre teams into contenders, and an offense featuring him, Jalen Waddle, and Devin Achane would be absolutely lethal. Burrow, Josh Allen, and Drake May all in the same division? Sign every football fan up for that chaos. The Indianapolis Colts present another fascinating scenario. If not for Daniel Jones's season-ending Achilles tear, Indy would have had an easy decision to bring him back in 2026. However, Jones's injury raises serious questions about his future. The Colts have one of the deepest rosters in football. Michael Pittman Jr., Tyler Warren, and Alec Pierce headline a solid pass-catching trio. Jonathan Taylor is a top 3 running back. The offensive line is elite, and their defense should be a top 10 unit for the foreseeable future now that they have Sauce Gardner. Indy gave up their next 2 first-round picks to get Gardner, making a Burrow trade tricky, but they still have proven veteran studs on both sides of the ball to make it work. The Denver Broncos situation might seem counterintuitive at first, but remember what happened when the Rams swapped Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. Bo Nix has been solid as Sean Payton's quarterback, but Payton runs an awfully friendly system, and that elite defense carries a lot of weight. Imagine what the Broncos would look like with Burrow behind that offensive line with that top 5 defense taking pressure off him. Denver could offer a package built around Nix, who has immense potential and could thrive with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in Cincinnati. Finally, the Dallas Cowboys present the boldest scenario. Dak Prescott has put up great numbers, but 2 playoff wins in 5 seasons isn't cutting it. Jerry Jones has an additional first-round pick from the Micah Parsons trade. Either Cincinnati takes on Prescott as part of the deal, or Dallas trades him elsewhere for extra picks to sweeten their Burrow offer. Among teams needing a quarterback upgrade, the Cowboys stand out as the best landing spot. He'd play behind an elite offensive line with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson as weapons. Put Burrow in Dallas and they become legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Joe Burrow trade saga is just beginning, and the entire NFL is holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next.